Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I will be doing a updated guide for Sanguine Abyss. So if you're a new player or a endgame player and you're still struggling with this dungeon, this video should really help you with that, okay? So let's jump right into it. Now to start things off, this is my insignia setup for this dungeon as a gunslinger. Now I'm not sure if this is the best, but this one works for me. So you can like copy paste this and make adjustment as you please. But for my class, this one works perfect. Now, if you're doing soul separation, you need to have the courage insignia on, and you need to have like 1 to 3 of them, depending on your damage. If you're struggling to kill the boss in soul separation, just add more courage. Now, there's 2 ways you can start this dungeon. You can either wait for grab, then DPS, or you can DPS and then grab on the first CC, the second CC, or the third CC. Whichever method you use will depend on the stage that you're trying to clear. Now, in most cases, waiting for grab then DPS should work for you. Now, as the grabber in the party, you need to hit the boss and you need to tank the boss long enough for his CC bars to open. The grabber should not wait for CC before doing any form of damage, which is grab, so keep that in mind, and I do see a lot of persons doing this. So you really want to learn the boss rotation for this dungeon. The more you know his attack pattern, the easier this dungeon will be for you. In most cases, just circling the boss will help you to dodge almost everything, and staying close to the boss will help you to circle better. A lot of new players struggle with this dungeon, and that's because their reaction time is really slow. The more you know, the more you'll grow in this dungeon. So let's start this. So right here, he's gonna dash to the tank, and the tank needs to backstep along with him to keep him facing that direction. Now here he's going to do a 3-hit attack. Keep in mind the range of the attack. He's going to do 1 frontal, 1 back, and then a room-wide AoE, okay? At this moment, you need to put on your 5-second shield. Also, to my fellow gunslingers, if you iframe one of these attack with your hook and then you DPS, most of your skills will become instant cast, okay? This will send your DPS through the roof. If your stun skill pierces parry, you don't have to worry about which direction you're hitting the boss from, so don't worry about that. Now the boss will jump to mid, just jump over that swipe AoE and you should be good. Now here the boss will select a target, and that is the furthest person. He will send this person to the soul separation and then proceed to shield himself with 100 stack of chaos shield. So here you can see the shield on the boss, and you can see he has 100 stacks. So right now he's taking little to no damage. Now how do you reduce this shield, or how do you break the shield? The person that is inside soul separation, that was the furthest person. Every time that person kills a blue ad, the ad will drop a orb, and that orb will spawn inside and outside of soul separation. You need to collect 5 of these orbs in order to reduce the boss shield. Every time you hit the boss, his shield will be reduced as long as you have the lucent buff or the orb stacks on you. So as you can see, I got my first orb. You need to have 5 of them on you in order to transform this into the lucent buff. So the boss is not taking no damage at this point, okay? So just circle the boss and grab those orbs. You just need 5 orbs, so don't be taking all the orbs. Leave some for your party members, especially the person that is going into soul separation second, so keep that in mind. Also, after you got 5 orbs, you need to refresh your orb stack or your lucent buff like every 10 seconds. To do this, you just need to take 1 orb to refresh your buff. If your buff runs out, you will have to take 5 orbs all over again. So that is why I say refresh your buff, people. This is a DPS buff and it reduced the boss shield. Everyone needs to have this buff active on them at all times, okay? So as people collect the orbs, the chaos shield on the boss will be reduced by their hit rate, okay? So this is the Lucent buff that I mentioned earlier. You need to have this on your character at all times in this dungeon to reduce his shield and to do damage. If you don't have this, you're not contributing to the party. So make sure to stack those orbs, guys. Get 5 of them. And once you have this buff, keep track of it. Once it hits 0, you have to restack your orbs and you don't want that. So make sure to collect like a 1 orb to refresh this back to 30 seconds, okay? Also, for the persons that are going into soul separation, you need to maintain this more than anybody else in the party, because if you don't have this, you will not be able to kill the soul separation boss. If you can kill the soul separation boss, good luck clearing this dungeon, okay? Now, if you look at the screen, the boss is casting a 3-hit attack, and this skill does a lot of damage, okay? So if you have a party protection in your party, it is best to use it here. Now, you can block this 3-hit attack as well, so keep that in mind. Now, right after this skill, the boss will send the furthest person into soul separation. So as you can see, I was selected as the next soul separation person, and you can see the message that the boss conjures a chaos shield to bolster his damage reduction. In other words, the boss shields himself again. Now this time the boss will lose his shield faster due to the fact that a lot of persons already have the Lucent buff. Now the first time he shields himself, we were busy stacking the orbs, but this time we already have 5 orbs, so his shield will drop fast. Now, as a Soul Sep person, you want to refresh your buff right before you go into Soul Sep, just so you don't have to stack anything or to try and get anything while the boss is on you, so keep that in mind. Now, before you go into Soul Sep, it is best to stand at the middle, just to avoid getting hit by the eyeballs upon entering the soul separation zone, okay? If you get hit, you will be frozen and then the ads will explode on the boss. When the ads explode on the boss will heal. So the outside boss will heal a ton of HP. Now this will cause a wipe over time because you won't be able to push the phases, okay? And I'm gonna go into that pretty soon, okay? As soon as you enter soul separation, you wanna start DPSing the boss. If you have the Lucent buff. If you don't have the Lucent buff, which is 5 orbs, then you need to start killing the blue ads ASAP, get the 5 orbs, and then start DPSing the boss. Now, while you're stacking the orbs or DPSing the boss, you want to make sure no ads touch the boss. So use your wide range skills to deal with that, okay? Now, some classes, they have AoEs on their skills, so that will kill the ads as soon as they come close. So as you can see, I'm only focusing on the boss, trying to reduce his shield and trying to kill him afterwards, okay? Now, the boss is not active at the moment, but once his HP hit like halfway or so, he will start to fight back. Now, this is where I say you need to know the boss rotation so you don't get knocked around and then the ads start exploding on the boss and then the outside boss start to heal. It gets messy, and the outside boss can heal all the way back to 100%, and that will cause a wipe or a reset for your party, and you don't want that, okay? So just by failing soul separation will fail the whole run. Now there is a timer for how long you can stay in soul separation, so keep an eye on that timer there. You can walk to that pad on the screen to exit soul separation, but beware, you need to leave soul separation when it's like 6 to 7 seconds on the timer. That is the time it will take your next party member to enter soul separation. If you leave too early, the ads will be in there by themselves and they will start to explode on that soul sep boss, which in turns heal the outside boss. Once you kill the soul separation boss, you will leave soul separation. The outside boss will become destabilized and he'll cast a room-wide wipe. You need to get to the safe zone to avoid this attack. Now, a lot of persons I've seen on stage 2, they fail to get to the safe zone. All you need to do is stand where the boss is and press SS or backstep to backstep into the dome. At this point, you need to break the boss. Now, as a burst class, you need to save your burst for this moment. So as a gunner, you need to save your Q. As a dual blade, you need to save your splinter. You need to save your burst for this moment here. Don't worry about your DPS by holding off on your burst skill. Most of the time, the boss have a shield on him, so you're not doing much damage during that part of the fight, okay? So if you have buffs in your party or bursts, save those for this moment here. Also, you want to break the boss right before he ends the animation. Do not break too early and do not break too late. If you notice that the warlock uses soul burn here, so hold off on your buff skills for this specific part of the fight, and I'm going to tell you why. If you made it to the safe zone, your Lucent buff will be refreshed to 30 seconds. If you didn't have the Lucent buff before, now you have it, okay? Now you have 30 seconds to get the boss to 65% HP, so he jumps back to the middle and spawns the ads again. You need to refresh your Lucent buff before time is up. If you don't refresh your buff and the boss hasn't touched 65% HP before your Lucent buff hits 0, the person that is going into Soul Sep will have a hard time killing that boss. Also, the boss will be moving this time, so for them to stack 5 orbs while the Soul Sep boss is on them, it is not going to be easy. Also, the whole party will have to stack 5 orbs over again, so this will cause the shield to take a longer time to be reduced. So that is why I say you need to push his phase to 65. As soon as you see the first blue ad, kill it and take the orb and refresh your Lucent buff. This is very crucial, especially for the person that is doing soul separation. Right here, the boss is going to shield himself again, and then he's going to send the furthest person into soul separation. At this moment, you need to kill a blue ad and refresh your buff right before you go into soul separation. Other party members need to hit a blue ad ASAP to refresh their buff. As you can see, I only have like 4 seconds on my Lucent buff, so I'm just going to be doing a quick refresh of that by taking an orb. So for the person that is in Soul Sep now, the boss is going to do a 3-hit inner to outer attack, and then he's going to charge at you. He's going to proceed to do a counter that will parry your attack. Now, what you need to do is you need to try and go behind him and do a CC. This CC will help you to kill the boss faster, okay? Now, if you don't have the time to get behind him, you can try to use a parry piercing stun skill or knockdown skill, but I would prefer you use stun. So, yeah. So here it is pretty much the same concept again, just maintain your Lucent buff. If you don't have the Lucent buff, try to stack up those 5 orbs and just maintain it from there. Now the person that is in soul separation now has only one job, and that is to reduce the Soul Sep boss HP to 5%. Once the boss is at 5%, leave soul separation ASAP and start to DPS the outside boss. The reason for this is you want to DPS as much as you can outside, and you also want to stall for your buffs and your burst to come back up to help push his phases, okay? So the next phase that we're looking into is the 40% phase. So we're trying to burn his HP down as close to 40 as we can, so by the time we break him, he'll jump back to mid and start the next phase. So as you can see, I was selected as the next Soul Sep target, and the boss shields himself again. But everyone has the Lucent buff, so that shield won't last long. When you enter Soul Separation, the first thing you need to do is you need to look at the boss HP. If it's below 5% or at 5%, what you're going to do is exit Soul Separation and go back to DPSing the outside boss. If it's not 10%, you want to DPS it all the way down to 5% and then exit and start DPSing the outside boss. You're trying to stall for time for your buffs and your burst to come back up, and you want to push the outside boss HP as much as you can before the Red Moon phase, okay? Now, the Red Moon phase is where you're going to actually kill the Soul Set boss. Now, because the Red Moon phase is very critical, you want to have him at 5%, so it's an easy kill for the next person that is in Soul Separation. So all I need to do is to make sure the boss is at 5% and CC the eyeballs. The blue ones you need to stun, the green one you need to knock down, and just exit Soul Separation and continue to DPS the boss. So right now the boss has no shield active on him and you have like 4 persons DPSing him, so he's gonna be taking a lot of damage. He will not shield himself until he selects the next Soul Sep target, and then he's gonna go into Red Moon phase. So if you look at the boss now, he's at 50% HP. If you had killed the Soul Set boss way earlier, you have to DPS him all the way from 50 to 40% to start the next phase. But because we're delaying the Soul Set boss kill, we can get him to 40% and then break him and push him all the way to 30%. So you're getting way more damage in. Doing this method will help you to skip the last phase where he jumps to mid and then he goes Red Moon phase instantly. That phase mess up a lot of party, so doing this method will help you to skip that, okay? So here the boss selected the next target for Soul Separation, and this is a Red Moon phase boss. But remember, the Soul Set boss only has like 5% HP, so this is an easy kill, okay? So in other words, you want to kill the Soul Set boss at the start of the Red Moon phase. This is the trick to do stage 3, stage 4, or stage 5 if you're having DPS issues, okay? Boom, look at that. The boss was at 50% when we had the chance to kill the Soul Set boss, but because we delayed it, we're going to get the boss at 35% and we're going to break him and push him all the way to 0 before he can jump back to mid. So he's way below the threshold already. So this is what I'm saying about delaying the Soul Set boss kill and only kill him when it's the Red Moon phase, so you can squeeze in as much damage as possible. Now the person that is in Soul Separation probably has the boss at like 5% HP, but as you can see, it is a Red Moon phase, so you need to kill the boss ASAP while you have your Lucent buff active, okay? Now as you see the Red Moon phase, put on your 5-second shield just so you can keep the Lucent buff longer to deal more damage and to reduce the boss shield ASAP. Now if you didn't know, getting hit by the boss while he's in Red Moon phase will remove your Lucent buff, okay? So you need to dodge and try to reduce his shield or deal more damage quick. If you lose your Lucent buff, you will have to restack the orbs. The Guardian Insignia will help you with this, okay? So as you can see, I entered soul separation the moment the soul set boss dies, so you have to wait a little bit before you exit. If you exit now, you will enter the wipe tornadoes that he's doing, and you don't want that, okay? So just wait like 5 seconds or 6 seconds and then exit soul separation. At this point, the boss will not jump to mid, he'll start to do some normal attack pattern. He's going to stall out your Lucent buff, and he's not going to go mid until your Lucent buff is up. He wants to send you into Red Moon phase with no buff at all. So how do you survive this? Let me show you an example. So as you can see, we're having a hard time trying to reduce the boss shield. Now, every time you get hit during the Red Moon phase, you lose your orb stack. And when you lose your orb stack, you cannot reduce his shield. So the Guardian Insignia will help with this. Now, the aim here is to reduce his shield below 50% and then break him, okay? This break will allow the person in soul separation to deal more damage and allow you to deal at least some damage, which will kill him, okay? If you can reduce his shield to like 0, that will be good before you break him. So it all depends on how much HP he has left, okay? At this point, burst classes don't need to hold off on their burst. Just watch how much shield stack he has on. Once it's below 50%, just go for the juggler, okay? On stage 5, you'll have some orbs that spawn and you need to kill them before the timer is up. Once the timer is up, it will explode and kill anything in the surface area. So keep that in mind. So now let's talk about the boss rotations. So when he goes to the middle, he's going to select a target for soul separation, and then he's going to do this yellow attack. You can block it, but it doesn't CC you, okay? So this here is a backward and frontal attack. So wherever he does the first attack, he's going to do the next one the opposite direction. So you can just walk out the way. So for this attack, he's going to do one towards the tank, then one behind him, and then he's going to do a room-wide swipe. For this attack, you can stay on the opposite side of the attack and circle him, or you can just block them, okay? For this attack, he's going to do an inner to outer attack, so you can wait for the first inner circle to go off and then dash into the middle, so you don't have to worry about the outer rings, okay? For this attack, he will direct this at the tank. Now, the tank should be tanking the boss towards the moon. Now, for this dungeon, you always want your fingers on the F key to recover from a knockdown. For this attack, you can just QE around the boss. Now, you can just walk out the way and circle the boss. Again, the closer you are to the boss, the easier for you to dodge his attack because you can just walk around, okay? It's less surface area for you to go around, so yeah. Now for this attack, when you see the circle about to close up, just press SS or backstep and you will dodge everything. And you remember this attack, right? One forward and one backward. And then he's going to do the swipe that inflicts knockdown. And then he's going to do the 3-hit aerial move, okay? You can block all of this or just backstep along with your iframe skills, okay? And that's it for his rotation. Not much, right? So let's take a look at his rotation in real time.
Your friend has connected to the server.
Now before I go, certain classes are not good for soul separation. Now burst classes such as dual blade and gunslingers, these classes are not good to go first in soul sep because they lack the damage to kill the boss unless they use their burst, and that's not gonna happen, okay? So try to get a class with a good sustain like a warlock, a bard, or a musician. Just about any class with a good hit rate and sustained damage should do. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, like, share, and subscribe, and goodbye.